Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Am I Wrong and it's by user Deleted. Am I wrong demanding my boyfriend not to pay for his brother and his partner's portion of the family cruise? First, some context. My boyfriend Dean, 25 male, and I, 23 female, are pretty well off in the money aspect. Dean has some money invested from a settlement he was a part of years ago and has taken me on trips multiple times in our relationship. Dean, his brother Sam, 21 male, and Sam's partner, Jessica, 20 non-binary, are all going to graduate at around the same time from different schools early next year, so the family decided to have a big celebration together. We decided on a Disney cruise because Jessica cannot go on any other cruises because they all make them sick. Disney cruises are the only ones where they don't get sick, supposedly. My boyfriend asked my parents' blessing to propose to me a few days ago and they said yes. Dean and I have been dating for about the same time as Sam and Jessica, but Jessica really wants to get engaged now. If it was up to Jessica, they would have been engaged before they had been dating for a year. Jessica and Sam are currently in university right now and work in fast food and do not have a lot of savings already. Now, I have never liked Jessica. I really like Sam. He seems like a talented and bright young man that I believe will go far in life. I have met the two about 5 or 6 times, and the first time I met Jessica, they used their autism to cut people in line for a ride at Disney, saying they were special needs. So right off the bat, I saw red flags as they were hitting their face rapidly while cutting people in one to get to the front. The most time my boyfriend and I spent with Jessica and Sam was when we all went to a family reunion for Dean and Sam's side of the family. We all stayed in one house for a week and were in close quarters, and by the end of the trip, I had walking pneumonia and Dean had a fever of 102 and many others, including Sam, were sick. Due to the close quarters and the sickness, I believe this is where everyone saw Jessica's true colors. Jessica often got upset when they didn't get their way or were outvoted in an activity they wanted to do. They would storm off and Sam would have to leave the family and calm them down for at least a couple of hours. I would say within the week this happened 3 or 4 times. I noticed that while Jessica and Sam would play fight or argue, Jessica would hit Sam hard. Sam is very tall and pretty fit, and Jessica is barely 5 feet, so I don't think he was actually hurt by it, but I was shocked when I saw it the first couple of times. I even said to Jessica after they hit Sam, "Dude, when you hit him, I flinch." They just laughed it off. During this trip, Jessica began to be ruder and ruder to my boyfriend. At first, it was subtle eye rolls when he spoke. He tends to over-explain things, which I like because I overthink. Then it was snarky remarks that graduated to just snapping at him. I spoke to Dean and his mom about what I was noticing after a couple of days into the trip. Sam and Dean's mom said that she saw all of my concerns, but Dean, God bless that man, said he hadn't noticed at all her means towards him. We didn't know how to approach the subject because of the awkwardness of the situation. By the end of the trip, we all were at the airport on the flight home. A lot of us were miserable with how ill we were, but Jessica only spoke to Dean in the rudest and snarky way possible. Dean had asked me not to say anything to them since I tend to protect those I love fiercely and often loudly, lol. Now fast forward to last night. Dean came home with a visible chip on his shoulder, and when I asked what was wrong, he told me that I had to stay calm. Apparently, Sam and Jessica had assumed that for the graduation cruise, Dean would be paying their portion amounting to $6,000 without any contribution from them whatsoever. Dean and his mother have no idea where they got this idea from. Once Dean had said maybe we could all split a room in a concierge suite, but after the family trip we decided it was not a good idea. This is the only thing I can think of how Jessica and Sam could be confused on why Dean would pay for them. Dean proceeded to tell me that Sam told him and their mother that he and Jessica would not be going or able to go if Dean wouldn't pay. My heart broke as Dean said that he could pay for Sam and Jessica and started to plan it out loud when I stopped him. I told him that I could see maybe paying for his little brother. I could understand if I was being generous, but I refused to let him pay for Jessica, given how poorly they treated him without apology. He said he wasn't sure how to handle the situation, so we decided to go to dinner. My beautiful, kind, warm, generous boyfriend, the absolute love of my life, whom I will marry, took me out on a date shopping and then to a nice dinner. While at dinner, I could tell something was still off, so when I asked, he said that there was something else related to the proposal. After some loving, prying, and me promising not to curb stomp anyone, he finally told me. Dean had called his brother a couple of weeks ago and shared that he was going to propose to me and was throwing around ideas. Dean told Sam that one of his ideas was proposing to me on the cruise on the first day. Dean said he was going to surprise me with my mom and dad being there and the trip would be a bigger celebration. So sweet, I was tearing up when he was explaining. He assured his brother that it would just be a bigger celebration and not overshadow their collective achievements. Sam told Dean in a very respectful way that he wouldn't really be comfortable with that because he thought it would overshadow all of them graduating. Dean said he understood and that was that. Then Jessica decides to message Dean separately. This message was a mammoth of a text, so I will sum up the demands Jessica made, and please keep in mind that when all this transpired, both of them thought that Dean was paying for their entire 7-day cruise. They said that Sam had told them about the call and they needed to give their opinion on the matter. If Dean were to propose, it would need to be on the last days because this cruise is meant for the three of them to graduate. And even when Dean promised that it would be a celebration for all of them, they didn't believe him. Especially if he were to invite my parents since they would only be there for me. They called Dean unkind for changing the intention of the cruise. Jessica says that they wanted their mom there. News to us, by the way. And Jessica would tell their mom to stop saving for the trip because it's unfair to ask her to pay thousands of dollars thinking she's celebrating her daughter and her daughter's boyfriend and instead celebrating a proposal of two people she's not particularly close with. She then accuses Dean of making the entire trip about him instead of his brother and cemented they would only come if it was about them graduating. Again, that long-ass thing was a summary. We're not sure if Sam knows Jessica sent the message or what is even going on because this entire thing is insane. Dean is hurt and confused about why his brother would treat him like a bank and also confused about why he lets his partner treat his brother this way. So am I the a-hole for telling my boyfriend not to pay for Jessica on the cruise? I'm on the fence about even paying for Sam. Well, OP, no, I don't think you'd be the a-hole for suggesting any of that, but in the end, it is your boyfriend's decision to make. Having said that, you are the only one who apparently is thinking rationally here. Dean's kindness is admirable, but generosity should never come at the cost of self-respect. Jessica's been rude, entitled, and manipulative. There's no reason for Dean to be paying or funding her vacation. Dean needs to set some hard boundaries with Sam and both of you with Jessica. No arguing, no negotiating, just a simple statement. We are not paying for your cruise. You can pay for it yourself, and if they don't like it, well, tough, they don't have a choice. And that's it really, OP. There's no need to waste any more time stressing about this. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section, and now let's check out the community comments. Merlin Smurf says, I am with you 100%. If Dean does pay, it's only the beginning of a lifetime of covering for them. Jessica is obviously unhinged. Disney is the only cruise she doesn't get sick on, and before you get married, you and Dean need to be on the same page. It's not about the money, it's about the entitlement and horrific attitudes. You both need to come to an understanding. I would go no contact with Jessica and pray that they don't get married. And OP responds, Dean and I are on the same page about not paying for Jessica. This all came to a head last night, so we're still reeling from it. It's not at all about the money. We can easily afford it. It's about the audacity. Bell0101 says, I get that Disney is magical and all, but how exactly does Jessica explain that of all seagoing vessels, it's the only one with magical anti-nausea properties? Jessica's full of it. Go on the cruise, get engaged, have a wonderful time, and tell Jessica to get bent. And Overrise2524 says, you absolutely have to start setting boundaries with these people. I don't care if it's your husband's brother. You need to start calling out Jessica's behavior every single time she does something rude. She's going to be stomping all over you forever if you don't. Don't pay for them. Let their parents pay or throw them a graduation party. Who ever heard of going on a cruise for graduation? They're now adults. It's time they learn to pay their own way. It's also time they learn that when they bite the hand that feeds them, it slaps back hard. It doesn't sound like your boyfriend is prepared to draw the line, but all this needs to come from him. He has to grow a backbone or be prepared to support little bro and bratty Jessica while being verbally and probably eventually physically abused. The sooner you put an end to this, the better. Hopefully, it'll help Sam realize he's in an abusive relationship. And OP responds, Dean and Sam's dad is coming to town soon, and we're having a family meeting about how to broach the subject. I do feel that we have to be careful with how we handle this because Sam is in a very delicate situation. The community agrees that OP is not the a-hole, that Dean shouldn't pay for them, and that he should set hard boundaries. So now let's move on to the update to see how the story ends. Hello again, thank you so much for the comments on my last post. It's now the next morning and I would like to answer some questions that I saw in the comments and also talk about what went down after I posted the first post. Grab another snack, folks. 1. Why did you all agree to a Disney cruise that Jessica demanded? Are you all spineless? The answer is that a lot of the family loves Disney. Also, when there was talk of a big celebration, we all recognized that this was the last trip we would all be on for a while since the graduates were getting real jobs post-graduation. This celebration was going to be a farewell to young adult life as they blossomed into adulthood or whatever the F. There's a new Disney cruise ship that some of us had been seeing TikToks about, and the idea launched from there. 2. Why do you think that 2 broke college kids were going to be able to pay for a $6,000 trip? Are you stupid? Dean, as mentioned in the previous post, loves to plan things out with as many different variations as possible. On the family trip we had taken a few months ago, where everyone had gotten sick, we were talking about payment, and Jessica had said something along the lines of, my dad would be able to throw in money as a graduation gift, so it's easier for us. I believed Jessica because recently said father had bought them a car. This is why Dean and I were so confused about how did these people think we were paying for them. I would also like to say that there was talk about Dean paying up front and Sam and Jessica paying him through payments. But these people thought they were paying without contributions to anything. And not only that, Sam and Jessica both have jobs currently. Sure, they're fast food jobs, but I'm certain that if they didn't spend money on Disney's annual pass and go there extremely often, they could save up for the trip that is a year and a half out as of this moment. 3. You're just the girlfriend. Shut up about your boyfriend's finances. I can see where a lot of people are coming from. I did use the word demand dramatically, my bad. Everyone's situations are different, of course. My boyfriend and I have had many conversations since moving in together and talking about marriage, that his money is mine and my money is his. We were looking at houses to buy this last week, and anything that is a major purchase we talk about together. I know this doesn't work for everyone, but it does for us. And 4. Why would Dean even think about proposing on this trip? That's selfish. When Dean called Sam, the main purpose of the call was to tell his baby brother he was getting engaged. He wanted to tell him he had found the love of his life. Proposing on the cruise was just something that was a suggestion. And Dean thought it would be romantic. When Sam said no, it was fine because Dean had other ideas. It was when Jessica messaged Dean that this whole thing went from 0 to 60. Alright, now for what happened yesterday. On my Instagram story yesterday, I posted a few things, but amongst them was a video of SpongeBob crashing out and captioned saying I related to that yellow sponge now more than ever because bitches be crazy. Call me out for shadow posting, I don't care, I thought it was funny. Then, after posting here, I was tapping through Instagram stories and Jessica's story popped up. And call it woman's intuition or something, but I thought, I wonder if they still follow me. And lo and behold, they did not. I thought it was honestly very funny and showed my boyfriend immediately that Jessica was not following me anymore on my phone screen. We laughed for a bit and I thought that if they didn't want to follow me, I wasn't gonna follow them. Tit for tat sort of idea. Reddit, when I tell you, not even 30 minutes later, Sam texted Dean and asked why I had unfollowed Jessica and had he given more thought about paying for the trip. Jessica said that I unfollowed them first, and when Dean replied saying that he saw with his very own eyes that was not true, Jessica then said that it must have been a glitch on Instagram's behalf. No one else was affected but me? I felt so insane. Are we in middle school again? What in the actual F is going on? Me, Dean, and a few of our friends thought that Jessica saw the SpongeBob meme, assumed it was about them, and then instead of asking or even talking to me, they decided to unfollow me as a hissy fit. A more nefarious plot is that them unfollowing me was a trap Jessica had set for me, so when I did unfollow them back, they could run to Sam and cry wolf. I don't know if that's what happened exactly, but it's what my gut is telling me. Jessica followed me again and messaged me saying that they didn't unfollow me and insisted it must have been a glitch on Instagram's behalf, and then proceeded to tell me that they sensed some bad blood between us that they preferred to get out. This whole thing smells really fishy. I didn't want to treat Jessica like how they treated Dean and send a message while I was still heated and say something I didn't mean or something to make everything worse, so I waited. 3 hours later, Jessica messages me again to talk. I was quite honestly done and felt 12 again, so I just said as nicely as I could that I just wanted to cool off before I made a heated text, but I would get back to them as soon as I was all chilled out. Jessica replied that I could call them later, but that they really don't know what's wrong and why I would treat them this way. Reddit, the way my head tilted 90 degrees to the side like a damn owl was honestly astonishing. I have not spoken to them since December of last year, and I posted a damn SpongeBob meme on my story, and all of a sudden, I'm Fire Lord Ozai and they're Prince Zuko. What the actual F are we doing here? Dean and I think there are two options here. A. Jessica doesn't think I know about the mammoth and plain out rude text that she sent Dean because it had some proposal plans, so they're betting that Dean kept quiet about that part. If this is true, Dean said that Sam probably doesn't know about the text either. B. Jessica actually thinks that they are entirely in the right here, thinks the text was just fine and dandy, and believes we are the crazy ones. In this case, they probably showed Sam thinking they did nothing wrong and Sam is going along with it. This is exhausting, and I feel like such a middle school girl right now and such an effing zoomer with all this social media BS. Either way, the cruise is cancelled and we're planning on something else now that involves no traveling. OP's edit. I would like to say that I know this is some Zoomer BS and I hate it as much as you do. I grew up with social media so I can recognize when it's being used to manipulate others. I feel gross and weird. Well, OP, the important thing is that cruise is cancelled and you guys can plan whatever you want now. Just hard boundaries with Sam and Jessica and stay away from them. In the meantime, here's wishing you guys the best. Take care, OP, and thanks for sharing. Now, let's finish this video with a mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance, and it's by user Goldax. You want me to ask every customer? I was once failed by a secret shopper about 30 years ago, when I worked at a now gone New England convenience store deli chain. I was the only person in the store stocking, ringing, and working the deli. I was also acting assistant manager, without pay or title but all the responsibility, doing inventory and making orders. I was failed for not asking a secret shopper if they wanted anything from behind the counter, tobacco, lottery, and various high theft health and beauty items, etc. My boss told me I needed to offer every customer something from behind the counter, no matter who. They didn't care what I offered. I said no problem. I went back to work and the boss went into his office. My very next customer was a local priest buying bread. As I rang him up, I asked if he was all set. He said he was. I asked if he was sure he didn't need any lottery tickets or condoms. If he didn't get lucky with one, he might with the other. He turned red, said he was fine, quickly paid and left. My boss yelled from the office I was now exempt from having to push items from behind the counter. I knew I would never get fired because of all the stuff I did that was above my pay grade while trying to make a good impression. Well, OP, you were just doing what your boss had strictly told you to do, nothing more. Thanks for sharing, OP. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out, so here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later, and also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.